everybody, I hope this video finds you well. For anybody new to the channel, my name is Dr. Tanisha Brown. I am a practicing dentist in Central Ohio. Currently, I am in a hotel in Seattle, Washington. I am here for UFC Fight Night. And I'm just here for a couple of days, and it's nice because the UFC is one of my favorite things, and it's the consistent thing in my life that's good. That's what I look forward to every single Saturday. But being out here right now at the specific time, I feel like I'm kind of at a crossroads in my life almost. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I'm not necessarily at the space that I want to be at least professionally. There are some aspects of professional life and personal life that kind of overlap. Despite your best efforts, you can't always prevent that. But from a professional standpoint, it's been a rocky couple of years post COVID. And I recently reached out on Facebook. There's dental Facebook groups, and I recently reached out and I kind of explained very briefly my story for the past 10 years. And I was just looking for some advice. And I was met with a lot of warmth, a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy. I got a lot of responses to that post. And that just, it reminds me, and I need reminding of this fairly often, that we're never alone in our pain. We're never alone in our journey. And just reach out. You know, um, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Your journey it's unique, but it's not. A lot of the challenges that you may be facing, somebody else has faced and they've conquered, they've gotten through it. Some of the issues that I'm facing, that a lot of dentists who were very open and honest about their journeys and their struggles, personally, professionally, even financially, it was kind of eye opening just to get different perspectives from people. And the amount of people who told me to reach out to them if I ever needed to just chat, you know, it it makes me feel like I'm not completely alone and that I'm not necessarily doing things wrong. Because we live in a society right now that, you get on Instagram, you get on Facebook, and you see how good a lot of people are doing, and you kind of compare yourself to them, and you use other people as a yardstick for your success, your growth. And unfortunately, a lot of people use that as a yardstick for their own worth, and it's not worth it from a mental standpoint. And once the mental is gone, everything else kind of goes with it. Especially, the mental physical game is kind of tied into each other. You know, when I was at the most stressful point in my life, my body started reacting very violently. I couldn't sleep. I was throwing up all the time, stomach aches, blurred vision, you know, things that doctors would put you on medication for, but and in reality, it was all physical issues stemming from psychological, mental, emotional issues. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to get on here and kind of voice my story, to the best of my abilities. I haven't sat down and given you all a complete roadmap of my life as a human and my career as a dentist. Uh, I know that there's not a lot of dentists on YouTube. There's a handful, but I'm not going to be that person who's going to be on here with the flashy Lambo and the huge mansion, because that's not my reality. And I would love a mansion, don't necessarily want a Lambo, but I feel like I just need to be open and honest about my journey, as a dentist, as a healthcare professional, as a woman of color in the world, just because again, my story is not unique. And that message really hit home about 2 weeks ago. I went to an open poetry mic night, and I've gone to several of those before, but I've never had the balls to actually get up and read something that I've written. And I didn't sign up. I sat and I listened to everyone's poetry, and it was very moving. I mean, some poets actually brought me to tears. And I was just hoping, I was hoping for my opportunity, hoping for my opportunity. And at the end, the person who was running the open mic night, she got up and she says, now that you've heard people, now that you've probably developed the guts to get up here, is there anybody who wants to actually read something? And I raised my hand with the utmost quickness, and I got up and I read my poem. It was one of the poems that was very near and dear to my heart, and I didn't die. I got up and I read my poem. I had a lot of eyes on me, but I had no judgment on me. And maybe there was some judgment, but oh well. You know, there's people judging this video. There's people judging me in real life, and that's not something you're ever gonna stop. But to my surprise, you know, at the end of the poetry reading, I had a handful of people come up and they thanked me for being vulnerable with my poem. They said they felt the same way, and I just realized that I really need to start vocalizing my story. You know, because it is unique to me, and my unique story could probably help somebody else in my same position. And I shouldn't be embarrassed of my story. I have no reason to be, because, you know, even I do realize that even on my worst day, my life is still better than most people's lives in the world. I mean, not just looking in the United States, but if I'm looking worldwide at all the 8 billion people on this planet, you know, more than half the people on this planet are starving. You know, a lot of people can't read, a lot of people have chronic illnesses, a lot of people are in impoverished and war torn countries. You know, a lot of bad shit is going on in the world. And even on my worst day, that would still be an answered prayer to somebody. So I do try to keep that into perspective as well. You know, fly I did fly out to a different city. I'm staying in a very nice hotel. I'm going to an event that I absolutely love. That wasn't necessarily cheap either. And, you know, in a couple hours, I'm meeting another dentist friend that I met last year at a course. We're having brunch, and hopefully she can show me, you know, what Seattle has to offer, you know, in the gray and rain and all. So I do have a lot to be thankful for. I have a lot to feel grateful for. And I do struggle a lot with depression. And, you know, I know I'm not alone in that. I definitely know I'm not alone in that. Millions of people are suffering from depression and anxiety, and just know that there can be light at the end of the tunnel. You know, there are some days where I struggle to get out of bed, quite honestly. You know, that's not something I vocalize to a lot of people. But there are some Saturdays and Sundays where, you know, I'll always force myself to go to the gym because that's my happy place too. But there are days where I just bed rot. I'm like, I can't. But then I come to the realization that no one is coming to save me. And if I want help, I have to be my biggest cheerleader in and of myself. And that's what I'm encouraging myself to do. I look in the mirror every single day and I say, Tanisha, what do you need today? How can you show up in the world as the best version of yourself? And I encourage anybody who's watching this to go ahead and do the same. You know, because at the end of the day, that's all we really can be. You know, being miserable is a heavy burden, but so is learning to be happy. You know, taking that first step forward into becoming the person you want to be and doing what it is that you want to do all you can do is take one step forward. One step every single day, 1% better every day. Reach out for help. And in the past, I've had issues reaching out for help because I've had circumstances where I've reached out to people for help and it was not given, mainly from my parents. But again, that's a different video and probably a conversation to have with a therapist. But I just realized that if I ask for help and I don't get help, that's not a slight on me. I have nothing to feel ashamed about for asking for help, and I shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. I've asked for help to dozens of people over the course of my career, over the course of running my business, and I've had dozens of people turn me down either because they couldn't help or they just didn't want to. And I took that personally, and I shouldn't. You know, if you need help with something and it's not being offered from the person that you're asking, either because they can't do it or they don't want to, that's not a reflection on you. Just say, okay, thank you for listening, move on to somebody else. There are people out there who want to help. They want to help you on your journey, your professional journey, your personal journey, and people just want to help people. And I think a lot of that comes down to also them saying that you're trying to help yourself. People are more willing to help when they see that you're taking your steps forward. But I'm kind of going off onto a tangent at this point, but I just wanted to get on here and I wanted to speak directly to anybody who is maybe not feeling like they are where they want to be. I know that's millions of people. I'm a millennial, and we're kind of that generation that's, you know, a lot of us see success, but a lot of us see failure too. And I think that we have a nice swirl of us who are doing well but not, who are doing poorly but not, if that makes any sense to you. I'm telling myself this, and I'm telling this to you too. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to take it one day at a time. And I know that I'm not necessarily in the office that I want to be at. I'm not necessarily practicing the type of dentistry that I want to be practicing. But I can assure you that every person who comes to me is going to get the best of me. Because even if I can't always show up for myself, I will 100% always show up for my patients in any capacity that I can. Even if I hate the dental office that I'm working at, that's not the patient's fault. I will always show up for my patients. So anybody who thinks that if a doctor is not well, or if they're a little off kilter, are they giving you top-notch care? That's a fair question, but please know that all of my patients are getting the best of me. Even if it's completely draining me, they are currently getting the best of me, and they always will. And again, I want you guys to take this journey with me from surviving to doing okay to thriving once more. Because I was at one point in my career thriving. It was closest to after I graduated. I was working 3 jobs, and a lot of people might say, well, that's kind of improper work-life balance, but I absolutely loved all 3 jobs that I had. I was making good money. I felt like I was actually contributing to society, and it was just a good time. So while I don't necessarily want 3 jobs again, I do want to get to that place of happiness again. And I think I will, and I want you guys to come with me on that journey. So with that, peace and love, and do the best you can today.